Stop scrolling. If you're a man watching this right now, I need you to listen carefully. You're about to discover why you feel broken inside, and it's not your fault. In the next 15 minutes, I'm revealing 7 psychological patterns that millions of men carry without even knowing it. Meet Robert, 39 years old VP of marketing at a Fortune 500 company, makes $180,000 a year, drives a BMW, lives in an $800,000 house. Everyone calls him the successful one, reliable, strong, never complains. But Robert has a secret. Every day after work, he sits in his car for 20 minutes before going inside to his wife and kids. Not because he loves the quiet, because he needs to mentally prepare himself to pretend everything's okay. Robert can't explain why family dinners feel like performances, why every time his wife asks, "How was your day?" he gives a rehearsed answer, why he works 60-hour weeks not because he loves his job, but because stopping means sitting with thoughts he doesn't want to face. 3 months ago, his 12-year-old son asked him, "Dad, why do you always look sad?" Robert realized he didn't have an answer, because he's been carrying childhood wounds he never learned to heal. If you recognize Robert in this story, you're not broken. You're one of millions of men carrying invisible pain, and today we're going to identify exactly what that looks like, and more importantly, how to start healing. Sign number 1, you don't trust easily. What this looks like: you constantly test people's loyalty before believing them. You expect people to disappoint you, so you're never fully surprised. You need constant reassurance in relationships. You keep emotional walls up just in case. The psychology. Your nervous system learned early that trust leads to betrayal. When promises got broken as a child, your brain stored that data as trust equals pain. Now your subconscious scans for signs people will leave, even when there's no evidence. Real example. Robert catches himself checking his wife's location just to make sure, not because he thinks she's cheating, but because part of him still expects everyone to eventually walk away. Sign number 2, you overperform in silence. What this looks like: you work harder than everyone else, but not from passion. You can't accept help because it feels like weakness. You're driven by fear of being not enough, rather than ambition. Your self-worth is tied to what you produce. The psychology. As a child, love felt conditional. You had to earn it through achievements. Your brain learned that your value came from what you did, not who you were. Now you're stuck on a hamster wheel of proving yourself. Real example. Robert takes on extra projects not for money or growth, but because deep down he believes if he stops being useful, people will stop caring about him. Sign number 3, you shut down instead of exploding. What this looks like: when emotions run high, you go numb or disappear. You avoid conflict at all costs, even when you should speak up. People call you calm, but it's actually emotional shutdown. You handle stress by withdrawing into work, TV, or isolation. The psychology. Your nervous system learned the freeze response as survival. When feelings brought punishment or chaos, going numb became your way to cope. Now your body still uses this strategy, even when the danger is gone. Real example. During family arguments, Robert finds himself checking work emails, not because work is urgent, but because emotional intensity feels physically dangerous to him. Sign number 4, you struggle with intimacy. What this looks like: you crave closeness but panic when relationships get too deep. You pull away when someone tries to get emotionally close. You make yourself emotionally unavailable even when you want connection. You confuse love with losing your independence. The psychology. When love felt unpredictable or conditional in childhood, your heart built protective walls. Now intimacy feels dangerous because your brain associates it with potential abandonment or rejection. Real example. When Robert's wife wants to have deep conversations about their relationship, he changes the subject or responds with generic answers. not because he doesn't love her, but because emotional closeness triggers his childhood fears. All right, gentlemen, we're halfway through. How many of these signs are hitting close to home? Drop a number in the comments. 1 if you relate to all of them. 7 if you're starting to question your entire life right now. And before we continue, quick reality check. If you're watching this while hiding in your bathroom for privacy, you're definitely not alone. We've all been there. Sign number 5, you feel responsible for everyone. What this looks like. You can't say no when people ask for help. You exhaust yourself fixing other people's problems. You feel guilty when you prioritize your own needs. You became the responsible one way too young. The psychology. You were forced into the role of little adult in your family. Your value came from being useful to others, so you learned that love meant carrying everyone's emotional burden, including your own neglect. Real example. Even when Robert is exhausted from work, he can't say no when his wife asks him to help with her stressful projects, because part of him believes his worth comes from being everyone's go-to person. Sign number 6, you can't handle criticism. What this looks like. Even gentle feedback feels like a tax on your character. You become defensive or shut down when someone points out mistakes. You have to be perfect because any flaw confirms your worst fears. You interpret suggestions as, you're not good enough. The psychology. Childhood mistakes weren't learning opportunities. They were punishment. Now your inner critic is actually your childhood fear of inadequacy speaking. Every critique triggers that old voice saying, you're fundamentally flawed. Real example. When Robert's boss suggests he could improve his presentation skills, Robert feels shame and panic, not because he disagrees, but because criticism sounds exactly like the voice that told him he was useless as a kid. Sign number 7, you don't know how to rest. What this looks like. You feel guilty when you're not being productive. You fill every moment with activity because stillness feels dangerous. Your thoughts get overwhelming when you slow down. You confuse exhaustion with dedication. The psychology. Your trauma taught you that rest equals worthlessness. When you were young, being still meant sitting with feelings you couldn't handle. Abandonment, fear, emotional overwhelm. Your brain learned that movement equals safety. Now, even when you're safe, your nervous system treats quiet time like a threat. Here's what's really happening. Your mind learned that when things got quiet, that's when the pain showed up. So you keep yourself busy to avoid feeling. Productivity became your drug of choice. It numbs the emotional wounds while giving you a socially acceptable reason to avoid healing. Real example. Robert literally can't watch TV without doing something else on his phone. He feels anxious just sitting still because his brain associates stillness with the chaos and unpredictability he experienced as a child. Even vacations stress him out because he doesn't know how to just be. Listen, if you're watching this and feeling overwhelmed right now, that's completely normal. Recognizing these patterns isn't about blaming your parents or making excuses. It's about finally understanding why you've been struggling. Knowledge is the first step to healing. But here's the thing. Understanding these 7 signs is just the beginning. If you want to go deeper into the psychology of trauma and healing, especially understanding why some people carry wounds differently than others, I've made a video that complements this one perfectly. Watch next. 7 traits of people who have suffered too much, mental health signs. So if this video helped you understand yourself better, smash that like button. It really helps the algorithm show this content to men who need to hear it. Then, click here to watch my video on the 7 traits of people who have suffered too much. It might be exactly what you need next in your healing journey. And remember, gentlemen, carrying childhood wounds doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. The fact that you're here, learning about this, means you're already doing the hard work of breaking cycles. Keep going. You've got this.